Welcome! So today we are here to talk about the refold 30-day course in how to learn a language. So I requested access to this course in order to review it, and they generously agreed. So this is not sponsored or affiliated, but I was gifted access to the course in order to review it. So some context for this, I know that refold is a common name around the language learning community, but if you weren't there for kind of the origins of it, I think people don't really know what it is. I don't have any inside knowledge about any of this, but just from, being around and seeing things and the info on their website, I believe that this company was co-founded by Matt vs. Japan and Ethan. So Matt vs. Japan is a very major YouTuber in the language learning space several years ago. I don't think he's active anymore. He was one of the first people to popularize kind of the immersion learning method. And so refold was kind of a branch off of that, helping people learn with immersion more efficiently. He's not a part of the company anymore. Now it is run by Ethan, the other co-founder. So refold as a whole is a wealth of information. There's a website with tons of articles and kind of the whole language learning methodology, which is detailed very helpfully on the website. So I definitely recommend checking that out just for informational purposes regardless. There are free Discord communities associated with their website. There is a YouTube channel with tons of videos, interviews, informational videos. So all of that is free. Then they do have some things kind of for sale. So they have Anki decks for frequency lists as well as a few other things. They offer coaching. Relatively recently launched this 30-day course. So the course is kind of to help you follow the refold method, which is basically just a modified immersion learning method. It is a 30-day course, as I have said, and it is taught by Ben Adams, who is a language coach and employee at refold. The course is split up into 4 weeks. Week 1 is foundations, where you will learn the writing system if it is different from yours, talk about finding content, talk about kind of the basics of vocab, how you find and learn vocab. Week 2 is reading and listening, so you're really getting into the nitty-gritty of how to do immersion, whether to use subtitles or not, just kind of the details of that kind of stuff. Week 3 is tools and techniques, talking about building a habit, and then things like intensive reading, how much to do that, when to do that. Week 4 is personal learning systems. So in addition to talking about whether or not you should study grammar, it really talks about the mechanics of getting a routine established, stuff like that. Each day has a video, which is from about 6 to 15 minutes long, usually in the 9-minute range. Homework, which starts out really light at 5 minutes and increases to 50 minutes by the last couple days. It goes up gradually, not from 5 minutes to 50 minutes, but it's ramping up over the month. Sometimes your homework will also include additional materials like other videos to watch from refold or other creators, reading material about the method or whatever. The videos themselves are, I believe they were recorded from a live session, and they are well done. Ben is well spoken and everything. There are occasional moments of, because it was live, just very, very minor hiccups, but nothing serious. They do have full subtitles in English, which is great, and they're also subtitled in Spanish, so if you are a Spanish speaker, those are available as well. The navigation and everything of the course is super easy, user-friendly. There is a Discord community as well where you can ask any kind of questions, and there are language coaches available to answer your questions. Based on what I was seeing, they do seem very responsive, responding to your question, whether that would be a technical question or if you're I'm really not sure how much I'm supposed to be understanding right now, and just wanting support in that way. There are specific languages, quite a few, that have resource lists that you also get with the course. So I'll have it on the screen as of the time that I'm recording this, what languages are fully or partially supported, but those will have suggested resources for each day or theme basically. So if the theme is a grammar review source, then it might be a YouTube channel that gives kind of quick grammar overviews. If you're supposed to be obviously watching comprehensible input, then there might be a list of YouTube channels that do comprehensible input videos, just those kind of things. And the philosophy of the course is, again, mostly input. That is definitely the biggest focus, making sure that you are spending a lot of time receiving comprehensible messages in the language. They do believe in supporting that with vocab review, whether that is with Anki or with something else. Obviously, they are kind of assuming that you're doing Anki, but they do say if you don't like that, you can do something else, but something to reinforce vocabulary. And then they do open up the possibility of potential light grammar review, but they discourage any kind of drills or exercises. I do think that the course has a pretty good balance of kind of technical info, like actual tools that you should be using, extensions to install on your computer, nitty-gritty detailed things, along with kind of that more human aspect, gauging how you're feeling and adjusting to that, the natural variation that's going to occur between two people, that no two people are going to have exactly the same language routine or enjoy exactly the same things, and showing you how to kind of adjust for that. I think that they did a really good job with that. The course says that it will give you concepts to take you through 3 to 7 months of learning. So they're not saying that these 30 days will get you to a high level or anything like that, but that it will set you up for quite a while of getting input. And this is focused on understanding, not speaking. So there is not really an aspect of the course that talks about production, because they're kind of assuming that you're not doing that yet, because that is kind of the refold method. So it is a course about understanding the language, not necessarily speaking the language. That is something that's going to come later, or if you do want to speak earlier, you're gonna have to do that with something else or on your own. So overall, the course is really well done. I think that as far as who this would work really well for, if you are really overwhelmed with the prospect of learning a language on your own, particularly if you do want to learn through immersion, but you're just finding it really confusing, or like, so I'm just supposed to watch TV and it's gonna get the language in my head. Like, if you really haven't done a ton of research yet into immersion-based learning or comprehensible input, or if you have done that research and you're ready to like jump on board with the method, but you feel like you need more guidance on the mechanics, then I think that this could be really good. If you've done a lot of research already, or you've been active in the community for a while, or you don't mind, doing a little bit more research on your own or just trying things, I think that I think that Refold would agree that like all of this information is on the internet for free. Of course, almost all information is on the internet for free. So I wouldn't say this is something that everyone needs, but if you want more support, it is well done. My kind of qualm with this is the price. I don't think it's an unreasonable price, but obviously depending on your financial situation, depending on your currency, it is about $150 US. And so for some people, if that might sound like nothing, like that might just sound like, oh, well, to teach me how to learn a language for 30 days, like that's totally reasonable. And for some people, that's like almost a month's salary. So, obviously that's going to vary hugely for each individual person and situation. So obviously everyone's going to know their own situation best. If it's an achievable amount of money for you and you think that, having that guidance or having that kind of accountability of trying to do it over 30 days would be really beneficial for you. And I do think it has the potential to be a really good opportunity to finally take, your language learning seriously or whatever. If you kind of have that like, 150, like, you can obviously do it without this course. Like, that probably somewhat goes without saying, but if it would be a large financial commitment, I don't necessarily know that it would be worth it, just because you could instead spend $150 on materials in your target language over time. And ultimately, that is what is going to get the language into your head. But if you're not sure how to do that, then the course might be a good option. So I think I've seen at least 2 other people review the course so far, so I will put their links in the description box as well so that you can watch their reviews. They did a little bit more of a vlog style where you can see the day-to-day of doing the course, so I think that that is really beneficial to see as well. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, and I will see you in the next video.